Everybody, it is Valentine's Day. My name is Max Belegday, and sorry to my boyfriend who is currently dining alone at home because I am here, loved up with the cast of Dune 2. Oh my goodness! Right, I'm going to start at the end. The incredible Austin Butler, who is playing the role of Fade Rowther. Forgive my pronunciation. I feel like that was good. Yeah.
You sound great.
Perfect. Thank you. Oh, I'll take it. Thank you. And then we have the incredible Florence Pugh, who is playing Princess Irulan. Was that all right? Did I do that?
Yep.
Yes,
Nearly.
thank you. Perfect. And then we have the amazing Zendaya, who is playing Shani. Is that good? Yeah. Okay.
I was hoping that the
smashing it.
Zendaya was. That's the harder one.
And then, of course, the iconic Timothée Chalamet, who is playing. Is it Paul? No, I'm joking. Paul. So nice to see you all. Honestly.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hope that you're all having a lovely time in London. How's it going?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Just got here.
Just got here.
So far, so good.
Lovely.
It's always
lovely.
good to be home.
Yes, indeed. British legend, who you are, love.
Thanks, love.
So I'm going to start off with some questions for all of you, if that's okay. So feel free to jump in. And I've got some that I crafted for each of you, myself, if that's okay. So firstly, what was the craziest thing that happened to you all on set during filming?
The craziest thing.
I mean, there's so much sand, I imagine that got in the way of some,
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I don't know if anything crazy happened unless anybody has any crazy story. I mean, the craziest thing is just like having to, get sand in my eye
Oh, really?
every day. I would go home with at least one little piece of sand in my eye, so I'd be up all night like over the sink.
I'm shocked you're not still just finding sand now.
I
in
know.
random places.
I think when I unpacked, I did. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. You escaped the sand, didn't you?
I did, but at the time, I was trying to persuade Denis into writing me into like some sort of dream-like sequence. I was like, come on, Denis, what if she's on a dune, like Zendaya in the first one, and there's just floating clothes, and he was like, not having any of it. I tried, I've really, really tried, but no, alas, no dunes for me.
That's such an odd sentence if it was in any other context, but I like it, yeah. Next up, how did you all prepare for the physical demands of filming? Because obviously, with the sand dunes, sorry, I don't mean to trigger you, Florence, it's okay. With the sand dunes and everything, it's not, I've walked on a beach, it's not easy to do. I mean, I'm sure it's a bit different, but how did you cope with that?
I thought I saw you doing a microphone.
I'm just holding it.
You just hold it. Just honestly training. Good amount of training with the stunt coordinator Roger Yuan, who's also an actor in the film. And then eventually, once you're in the desert and you're there day after day and going to these incredible sets and getting there practically a lot of the time, you build up a certain stamina, and then you're good to go.
Oh my gosh, how about you guys?
I mean, same. I wasn't in the dunes, but we had a fight that we got to do together. So there was a lot of training for that. I had the arena fight, which is the first thing that I filmed, and that was actually on sand. So
Really?
so that was tricky as well, and it was very hot. So it was just a lot of training to get ready for that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I must say it's so interesting seeing you as a human being right now, because you've very much been in my nightmares ever since I've seen the film. So it's glad to know that you are a nice person in real life. How about you, Zendaya?
Yeah, I was lucky. I had come off of a film where I was training to do tennis, to be a tennis player.
Okay.
So I was lucky enough to like kind of be in shape before I got into this,
Yeah.
which I was like, yes, okay, I'm not gonna be winded at least. But yeah, I think, I don't know. It's one of those things too. You can prepare as much as possible, but I think being there, no matter what, you're just so grateful to be in these places, no matter like how hard the hike is to get there to the location or whatever. It's so gorgeous. Everybody is so happy to be there that it's the last thing you're kind of thinking about. But and you sleep well at the end of the day.
We love that. I mean, if it was me, there would have needed to be a medic on set at all times. It would have been really quite upsetting. And one last question for all of you before I dive into personal questions. Sorry, that sounds weird. We're not doing that. What funny or unusual habits do you each have when preparing for your roles? Because like thinking, I mean, again, going back to your role, Austin, like there's such an intensity that is not normal to human interactions. Like, do you stand in front of a mirror beforehand and be like, right, let me find this like crazy person? Like, what do you do?
I mean, not in front of a mirror.
Love that visual though.
Yeah.
Just me staring myself down. No, it's. I mean, there's a lot of daydreaming involved. A lot of daydreaming about the childhood that I would have gone through as Fade and that sort of thing. So a lot of staring off into the distance, seemingly in listless silence, and yet there's a lot going on inside. A lot of talking to myself, walking around in a hotel room, just trying out different voices, and a lot of moments of sort of simulated insanity. Yeah, that then you just kind of end up finding things, and then you take it on set.
Yeah. Okay.
When preparing for anything, will always will like go through the script and then we'll like be the character but looking at nothing in the room. So I'll be like, okay, where's the camera? The camera's there, and then I'll be like talking to someone, and I'll be like, no, that doesn't sound right. Do it again. Nah, it doesn't sound right. Do it again. So that would look quite insane.
What happens if someone interrupts that process?
Like if someone comes in the room,
Yeah.
I'll go and say hi. I don't continue as they're standing there.
How about you guys?
I think, yeah. No, please. All right.
Weird out of
Yeah, I guess it depends on the role. And the challenge not the challenge, but the obligation here was to get back in the mindset of Dune, and make sure it was linked up with the first movie.
Yeah, because didn't you go straight from Wonka to? So I imagine that's quite different.
It was a mind bend, definitely. Yeah, it was strange.
You must have gone from like surrounded by lollipops to intense like murder and sand.
That's exactly what it was. In the first, we shot a lot of this sequentially, which is a gift as an actor. But the first thing we were shooting, which was carrying Jamas's body from the end of the first movie at the beginning of the second movie. So it was quite a tone
Interesting
change.
first day back at work.
Oh yeah. There's a 3-4 month gap, but it was nonetheless strange.
Okay. So what I'm getting from that is that you all just spend a lot of time by yourself saying words to nobody.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah, good. I'm glad that you do it in the comfort of your own home or hotel rooms, because that would look very bizarre in the street. But you know what? Maybe I encourage it. Actually, we'll see.
I've done
We'll
it on
see.
the street.
Now, I've got some questions for you, Timothy, if that's okay. So the anticipation for Dune Part 2 is immensely strong, as I'm sure you all feel, like especially coming from the fans. How do you manage the kind of expectations from the fans versus your own artistic input into the role?
In the doing of the film or in anticipating its release?
I'd say the doing of the film.
Well, in the doing of the film, I'm not just dodging the question, but it's Denis Villeneuve. It's this incredible director who is so passionate about the material, who grew up loving it. So you're in the safest of hands. Also, when you do something on stage or you do theater work, you're in direct relation to the audience. There's a tension with that, but there could be the gift of, just feeling an audience's interaction with the play or the musical you're doing. When you're doing a film, to a benefit and to a fault, sometimes the echo comes at a much later date. Like, so we shot this a year and a half ago at this point. So to the benefit of that, you don't have the immediacy, the anxiety of, how are people going to receive this? Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect sense. And one more question for you, if that's okay. What was it like returning to Paul as a character, and what is different between him in the first one and him in this one, in your opinion?
Well, the first movie, Paul literally begins, a boyish figure who's privileged behind royal walls, the son of a duke, without tons of real-world experience, which is why Gurney Halleck is so hard on him in that initial training scene. Goes through personal tragedy over the course of the first movie, and we see the rumblings of the man he's going to become at the end of the first movie. But this is really the story of Paul. A leadership role in some ways, finding first love, being comfortable with that first love. And I wouldn't even necessarily say coming of age, because he goes through way more than what most of us, 99.9% of people go through growing up. But I think it's Paul coming to fruition.
Yeah, and I must say, like, for those of you who haven't watched the film yet, like, obviously you're an incredible actor, but seeing like the journey that your character goes on, it really is breathtaking. Like, you should be so proud of yourself. It's
Thank
crazy.
you. I appreciate
honestly.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anytime, love.
Yeah,
Anytime.
thank you.
We're in the UK now, aren't we, Florence? So moving on to Zendaya. Hello, I'm such a big fan. You have no idea. Okay, moving on. No. Honestly, like, I just think that you came alive in ways that people haven't really seen you yet, and I think that your fans are going to love this like so much. I did, and I just think that you're incredible. I've got one question for you, if that's okay. So Shani's connection with Paul is pivotal, I would say, in Dune. How did you work on that on-screen chemistry? Because like I would find it weird, like having to be like emotional with my friend. Like so what? How do you psych yourself up for that?
Well, I think we're very lucky. I think we've been saying it a lot, but like to be amongst people that we feel safe and comfortable with. And I think Denis creates such a safe environment on his sets, and it makes you feel like you're in a place where you can play, or you can, you know, find and ask any questions, and there's no stupid question, you know. And I think, you know, he always said from the beginning that carving out this love story was important to him. I think amongst so much going on, such high stakes and epic, you know, battles and all these kinds of things, I think something that was really important to him was to find a way to ground it and bring it back to something human, which at the end of the day, you know, manifested itself in a love story. And I think it was exciting to find because it's we say this a lot, but it felt very earned, right? It's not like, you know, she's head over heels when she first, you know, meets him. She's immediately, I think, not just off-put, but probably very afraid.
She's a very complex character.
Absolutely, of what he represents and who he is to the people that she already loves. And I think he poses a threat to that. And I think the idea or concept of love, or her being in a relationship, you know, or whatever that looks like in her life, I think was not ever in the cards, or something that she even not a priority, not even a consideration. I think she's a fierce protector, and so that alone, and then it comes in this package of someone she never expected, I think is very, very difficult for her to come to terms with, and means that when she does open herself up, when she does allow him in, when he does earn her trust and her respect and the respect of the ones that she loves, I think that it means so much more. And ultimately what he does with that means so much more.
Yeah, of course.
So we'll, you know, without giving too much away, but it's sad.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll see. Side question. Are they blue contacts that they make you wear, or is it like After Effects?
After Effects.
Right, I was
thank
gonna
goodness.
say, gosh, yeah, you've got sand and contacts.
For the first film, I remembered going to a contact fitting to see if they wanted to try to do it practically, but it was pretty
Painful.
uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and like it kind of makes you not be able to see very much. Like your vision gets obscured, and that would be not easy. So
God,
I'm very glad that there's a wonderful department of people who make our eyes glow.
Sand and wind as well.
Oh gosh, I mean, I already got the sand in my eyes, so.
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Of course.
Moving on to Austin, if that's okay.
It's all right.
Hey, of course. Thank you. So as Fade Rowther, you join a long list of bold badasses. That's what's on the card. I'm not just improvising here. Including Josh Brolin's Thanos and characters of that nature. Were there any villains that you took kind of inspiration from when coming into that role?
Villains that I took inspiration from. Some probably unconsciously. Gary Oldman, you know, and Gary Oldman in True Romance, or Leon the Professional, or you know, there's all those performances of that time period. I've always been really affected by, and then even if you're not taking things directly, you know, we've talked about Heath Ledger and The Dark Knight. You know, one of those great performances that I didn't take anything directly from that, but it's the energy of that freedom that he had, and the play that he had, and the boldness of certain decisions, and just a general inspiration that you feel inside that just makes you grateful to get to go to work every day, you know, so things like that.
Yeah, oh my goodness, amazing. Yeah, it is very, like I said, intense, and you can tell that you really, like, mastered that going into that role, especially, like, I will be having nightmares, like I said.
I also loved the enjoyment that, like, you could see you enjoying it, but that element of Fade truly enjoying being that twisted. Like, I think that's what is so exciting about watching a villain, like especially a villain that relishes their absurdity. It is like so scary and exciting to watch, and that's what was really
You seem
weird.
to have the feeling of everybody around you being your toys, you know?
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
kind of a fun way to live.
yeah.
Also, how you and Stellan and Dave, like, you're all from the same
Yeah.
kind of existence, but each found a way to do that in your own, individually in your own
Yeah.
kind
It
of
really
sick
shows.
Stellan's
way.
the one that I didn't mention there, but he ultimately is probably the most inspiration.
Wow.
You know,
Even your
because-
accent. I remember you saying, I asked him when we first met. I was like, "So what are you gonna do with your voice?" And you were going over his intonation. I was like, "That's genius, so smart."
Yeah, that came sort of later on, and then, but the idea of growing up with him as my sort of father figure, you know, it and the things that we soak in from those people who are around us, who have power, that we grow up with, you know.
Oh wow! Oh my gosh! And just quickly before we wrap up, same question to you, if that's okay, Florence. Because like your character, there's a certain essence as well. Did you derive any inspiration from anywhere else?
No, but probably more about like the themes of royalty, the themes of power, the themes of riches. How are those people? How do they grow up? How are they set apart from everybody else that is scrambling and swimming beneath them? And I think there is something equally eerie and always quite bizarre to look at the people that are fighting, the people that are in control of the fighting, and how would she be, and how calm is she, and how does she speak, and how still is she? And I think showing that separation of where she is and where everybody else is basically the difference of power, and nothing is directly affecting her, other than the fact that obviously the powers around her will affect her, but nothing is an instant threat like it is for these guys and for him.
Yeah, of course.
And so, how do I find a way of elevating her? I wanted her to be still, and I wanted her to be thoughtful and take her time, and just those factors alone are going to create such a huge difference in the fact that nothing is a major threat to her.
And that shows so well on camera. Like, it really does. Thank you all so much. I can't believe that I'm even in the same room as you, to be honest. But as I said, it's Valentine's Day, and I've got a date with a sandworm. So, see you later.
Happy
Cheers.
Valentine's Day.
Thank you all so
Valentine's
much.
Day.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
Valentine's Day.